to the IDRA Classnotes podcast, where we will explore innovative approaches that connect students to meaningful learning and real-world opportunities. I'm Dr. Stephanie Garcia with IDRA, and I'm especially excited about our conversation because we are highlighting one of the most inspiring projects to emerge from our Educator Externship program. IDRA's Educator Externship program places teachers with local businesses and organizations during the summer. So this really gives them the opportunity to learn directly from industry professionals, and then teachers bring back those experiences to the classrooms, helping their students connect academic concepts to real careers, real challenges, and real opportunities in their communities. So today we're joined by two incredible educators who transformed one summer externship experience into a powerful project-based learning experience for their students. Last summer, one of our guests spent 30 hours working alongside professionals at a local architecture firm. What followed was a collaborative effort between these teachers that challenged students to reimagine abandoned spaces in San Antonio and design solutions that could strengthen their communities. The project culminated in student presentations, community showcases, and even student pitches before the school district board members. It truly is one of the most impactful examples of an externship to classroom learning that we've seen so far. So I want to welcome Taylor and Angel. Thank you so much for joining us today during the summer. Could you go ahead and introduce yourselves quickly?
Sure. Hi, my name is Taylor Ray. I am a seventh grade math teacher at the JSTEM Academy.
Hi, my name is Angel Watkins. I am the seventh grade Principles of Applied Engineering teacher at JSTEM Academy, and I'm the current DOW STEM ambassador for Alamo STEM Ecosystem.
Awesome. So I just want to get started. And, Taylor, talked to us last summer. You spent 30 hours with a local architecture firm through our externship program. Can you tell us about that experience?
Yeah, I was paired with LPA Design Studios, which is an architecture firm based in San Antonio. I spent 30 hours. Essentially, I was almost like an employee for the week. I would show up in the morning, be there till about 4:30, I think, in the afternoon. I would sit in on meetings. I would meet one-on-one with different like aspects of the design firm. They do all sorts of design, like front to end, and they specialize in building schools. And so a couple of projects we saw were some local schools in the area that they were working on. But it was a very, very enlightening and exciting experience for me. I enjoyed kind of just being a fly on the wall during regular business hours. That was super exciting. And then
Yeah.
also the one-on-one sit downs with different, architect or interior design or construction and the
Mhm.
different parts of.
Yeah, what surprised you most about the work that they were doing?
It was very cool to see something like we saw some projects they were working on for a local school district, not our school district, but a different one, that I know people
Mhm.
that work there. And so I'm like, oh,
Oh,
hey, like
cool.
I saw the plans for your new classroom. It was so cool. And then being just in San Antonio, San Antonio, a lot of times is a small town, big town, small town.
Mhm.
But driving by and seeing the plans and the schools that I saw on paper or
Yeah.
digitally actually being built from the ground up, was really cool.
That's awesome. At what point during that externship experience did you have that kind of aha moment and start thinking, hey, my students really need to experience this, like fill in the blank, whatever you wanted to take back? At what point did that happen for you?
Well, Angel and I both work at the same STEM school that
Mhm.
focuses in project-based learning. And so we teach through the methodology of letting our students solve real-world problems. And so I'm always kind of on the lookout for what's a problem within our community that the kids can solve.
Mhm.
I found that even seventh graders, they get a bad rep for being middle schoolers, but at their heart, they want to make a difference and they want to make change in
Yeah.
their community. And so I can find a community-based problem for them to solve,
Mhm.
that's where I try to guide them. And as a STEM school, a lot of times we talk about that we're preparing these kids for jobs that don't exist yet in the world of, technology and manufacturing and AI and all these things that are you see as kind of a STEM related, but there's so much more out
Mm.
there. And I remember as a math teacher sitting in one of the meetings and they're talking about, their scale drawings that they were working on for, I believe it was a fire station that they were designing. And I thought, oh my gosh, like we do scale in my classroom and they do scale
Yeah.
drawings in Angel's classroom. And
Yeah.
these are things that they're actually doing at a middle school level that are then being used in this industry and in this workforce.
That's awesome. That's incredible to be able to see that connection, and to see that, y'all are really preparing them. And I we'll get into that in a second too, of all the things the students accomplish through their PBL. Angel, I'm curious, to hear from you when Taylor brought this idea back to the campus. What was your reaction about this PBL idea?
Well, she basically brought the abandoned spaces idea, and then she went on maternity leave. So it was up to the team to kind of like take that PBL and run for our spring PBL.
Mm-hmm.
But I always like the architecture ones because being the engineering teacher, like the students love to build, but then architecture, then I can reach like all the students
Oh yeah.
because like it just brings in like the different skills, not just building or an idea of like a Shark Tank idea that we've done in the past,
Yeah.
but it's more of like a community based. And um, that's when we have the idea of actually bringing in the architects to come talk to them, which took a
Mm-hmm.
while. But they had listened to me for like the whole semester about talking about like architecture and the engineering design process. And like, this is how we do a scale drawing. This is how we do a computer model. And so like getting them to do that, like as the big picture at the end of the year project was really exciting.
Oh, absolutely.
Dr.
Absolutely.
Garcia, should we share the project that the kids worked on? I don't think we've actually addressed that yet.
Please, let's do that. Let's talk about the project itself, and let's go ahead if you want to share screen, Angel, and walk us through what were those major project components that students had to create.
So we gave the students the task of we have a school in our district that was closed down 2 years ago now, and
Mm,
is currently sitting empty. And what can we use
mhm,
this space for? Because it's an empty building, and how can we repurpose this? And so we have here one of our group. This actually was done by students. We pulled one of their projects to show today. So their problem that we said, we have an abandoned school. What are you going to do with it? And then they were
mhm,
tasked with coming up with their own problem statement. So this group, Coronado Village Elementary, is abandoned and not being used. Judson doesn't know what to do with the school, and they possibly will not just put another school there. We have to choose a different purpose for this bustling school.
mm.
Oh, and then here's the solution statement.
Yeah, so this is the solution this group came up with. Our idea for our solution were mostly educational, like making a library a museum or even combining the two. In the end, we decided on making something fun and entertaining for everyone, but also educational, which is an escape room. Each room teaches a different thing and tests the students' knowledge on each escape room as they escape. So
How
there
fun.
was like each of it's a empty school. So like there's empty classrooms, and each classroom is gonna be themed
Yeah.
like a history one, a science one, a math one.
Mhm. And so here's part of one of the three or a few of their deliverables, which is something that I have to turn in before the project can be done.
Hmm.
So right here is their physical model that they built in our Maker Lab, um,
Wow.
that has like a solid base that we can reuse in the future. But they had to build the little rooms. You can see that they had like a jungle theme room. And again, they're all different escape rooms. Here's like a
Mm.
planetary theme room. This one was like forest, and this one was um, it was like something like ocean themed. Like they had
Cool.
on this side you can't see it, but they had like a little boat.
Wow.
But that was this one. Right here is their scale drawing, and they have a key. So they had to do their drawing to the 1/4 scale using an
Nice.
architectural ruler. So it makes it a little bit easier because it does the math for them. And then they had to do a digital drawing. And then I used the floorplanner.com when we use that. They had to
Hmm.
recreate the whole entire school, which is these spaces right here, but then they only designed the spaces that they were actually going to be using in their idea.
Oh, wow.
And oh, go ahead. Sorry, I think that's it.
Okay. No, it's fantastic. I was going to say, like, all of that looks and sounds just like what professional architects do on a daily basis, and I'm
Angel mentioned they
curious.
use the architecture scale, and as I was at the design firm, I saw one on one of the architect's desks, and I literally gasped, and I was like, "Can I
You're
take a
like,
picture of this, please?"
yes.
And I they're using it.
That's so great. Well, yeah, because that's that career connected learning experience that we're talking about, that the externship can really render for you and see like, oh, what tools are they using? How are they collaborating together in that space? And I think students benefit just so much when it's not just another classroom assignment, but they have something that's so meaningful like this, where you're truly walking them through the knowledge and the skills, you're hitting those targets, but it's also allowing so much creativity, collaboration, problem solving. So I just love the entire project that you all came up with. And thank you so much for sharing that example. What a memorable experience for you all and for the students. And speaking of, thinking about one experience that I saw, thank you for the invitation. One of my favorite moments too was being invited to your school and seeing those architects, like you mentioned, Angel, that came to your library and spoke to the students. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and that interaction between students and the architects?
Yes. So when the architects came in, it was the very beginning of our PBL week, which stands for
Hmm.
project-based learning. And so we literally gave them the idea of the whole project, and then we took them to the library, and that's where they got the presentation from the architects. So they hadn't even got to talk to each other about what they wanted to do. The architects came in and they showed them like how they design.
Hmm.
They showed them like school buildings. They showed them the fire stations that they've designed before, and they're showing them digital and physical drawings. And then they asked them a lot of questions at the end. But what really surprised me is everything that they were talking about in the engineering design process as well is everything that I teach them in class. So it literally validated everything I've been teaching them for the last 6 months. And I
I
was
was
like,
sitting next to
yes,
her, and she kept like elbowing me in the ribs and being like, "I taught
Like,
that. I
we
taught that
do this.
too."
We do this. We're doing everything right. Look at us. I love
yeah.
it. I love it. No, it is extremely validating, It really is. And it was so sweet to see the architects, it sounded like, and tell me more, like, how did the architects respond to the students' ideas and questions? What was that like?
They did such a good job. The architects were phenomenal.
Hmm.
At this point of the week, our students hadn't come up with any ideas yet. We literally were in our
Hmm.
classroom like, all right, so this week your project is going to be redesigning this school. Now let's go to the library. So they had no
Oh,
time to
gotcha.
kind of talk to their team. So a lot of their
Hmm.
questions are based on like what a 13-year-old would think an abandoned building is, like run down, the ceiling's about to collapse. Like they were very
Yeah.
concerned about the infrastructure
Safety.
of this
Yeah.
building. And then we had to like kind of stop it, like, guys, the building is okay. It's just empty.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
a lot of their questions started that way, very surface level.
Yeah.
And then as we started talking, they started kind of warming up, the students did. They
Mhm.
were asking a little bit more in-depth questions of, well, if our client wants this, and, you know, if the whoever's using the building, do we have to think about the community and the surrounding
Yeah.
areas? And so they were starting to get more detailed as the questions went on.
Oh, that's wonderful. It's so meaningful that you started the project off in that way, to be able to consult with content experts in the field, industry experts in the field, for students to get that kind of exposure and really put on that hat as an architecture. Like they just met it's personal, it's real to them, it's not something that's abstract. So I love that you
Yeah, many of our
started
students
that
attended
way.
this elementary school when they were younger. And so for them
Wow.
to be like, oh, okay, I went to that
Oh,
school. That's my old kindergarten classroom. That's my old cafeteria.
yes.
Um,
Yeah.
Wow.
we
I
really
think
try
that's
at JSTEM, the seventh grade team, to design with empathy is a big
Hmm.
component of our projects that we push on the kids.
Yeah.
And so knowing that the space was sentimental to quite a few of them was something that we also addressed.
Yeah. They handled it with so much care, right? It's in their backyard, it's in their neighborhood, it's very personal to them.
Mhm.
And I love that you didn't just stop there. You took the project even further. You guys organized a community showcase. where community members came to review student work and give feedback and vote on the strongest designs. Can you tell us more about that event?
Sure. This was an after-school event. It's the conclusion of our week. We invite parents and community members and anybody who had any involvement in the project to come and see what these kids been working on all week, all their hard work. We have their elective teachers come because they didn't go to electives all week, and so they'll come and see, what have you been working on? And
Oh.
the kids get really good at public speaking in our
Mm-hmm.
program. And so this is part of it. They are all like groups of about 4 to 5 students, and they'll have their project on the table, and they have a little rehearsed script that they like a elevator pitch. As
Mm.
parents and community members kind of roam around looking at different projects, and they'll explain it, and they'll speak to these adults and be able to very
Wow.
articulately explain their process and what their end final product was.
That's
Yeah.
great. Not all students get to experience that, to be able to give students the opportunity to share their ideas and with other people that they don't know and to get feedback. And I'm sure that was a really meaningful experience. How did they handle presenting to district leaders?
They
And
were
that was another
excited.
thing. Yeah, they were nervous and excited. We invited a couple of district leaders to come. We picked some of our top designs that were like, okay, this could actually happen.
Yeah.
And we invited district leaders, and they presented in the morning, and they were all dressed up, and they combed their hair a little extra that day and wore their nice clothes, and um,
Wow. I
And they
love
got to
that.
skip class, so they were excited about that. We also presented to the same day they presented to the district leaders. It was parts of the school board members. It was the head of facilities, and it was
Really.
our school is in Universal Cities,
Uh-huh.
so just outside San Antonio. And so they presented to one of the people in the Universal City Council because
Wow.
most of their ideas were community based, and so they wanted to
Uh-huh.
bring in the city to see like what their input was for making that building and that space not abandoned anymore.
You all work so hard to bring everything together for your students and just as we close up, I'm thinking about that student impact. Like, looking back at this entire PBL journey, starting from the externship experience to the board presentation, what impact do you believe this project had on students?
I mentioned before that we push a lot of design with empathy. And so I hope
Mm-hmm.
that our middle schoolers know that they can make a difference and that
Yeah.
they can make change within their community, even though they're only,
Mm-hmm.
12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
Um, and that their voices are small, but they're powerful, and they can design
Mm,
and they can build and they can do a lot of great things.
So in my
absolutely.
class specifically, I'm
Uh-huh.
also trying to teach that a project isn't a project, and an ask from a teacher isn't just an ask from a teacher. It's a promotion. It's a
Mm,
promotion to be like a contributing member to society. And when the kids
mm-hmm.
actually see, like, hey, I can do something with this
Mm-hmm.
space that I knew since I was a little kid and played on the playground, and now it can be
Right.
something greater, it really
Wow.
brings them in.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I really think it probably changed their ways that they're thinking about their future. Like it definitely built their confidence. You can hear about that. And you can hear about too, maybe I want to be an architect one day, or maybe I want to be involved in my community in this way or that way. And I just love that so much. You guys made a profound impact on your students. And in closing, what impact did this experience have on you as educators?
I think that having the opportunity to do the externship and be as a teacher, you know, I, I spend all my days in the school. And so
Hmm.
it's hard to be out in the community and be like, okay, what are the needs of different industries and what are they looking
Hmm.
for? What do
Yeah.
I as a teacher need to bring to my classroom and say, hey guys, if you want to be an architect, if you want to be an interior designer, if you want to work in
Hmm.
construction, these are the things you need to know and be
Yeah.
able to do. And I think that being able to spend the week at LPA and just kind
Hmm.
of was like, okay, so this is what it's actually like to work at an architecture firm. I can then,
Right.
and I did. I had one girl, I have a girl who I know wants to be an architect, and she sat at my desk towards the end of the school year, and I was like, look at all these things from last summer. And I opened up
Oh,
a scale drawing that they had gifted me and the notes that I'd taken, the pictures, and I was like, this is an actual place in San Antonio, like you could go work at
mm-hmm.
potentially. And she just thought
Yes.
it was so cool. And just being able to bring the knowledge that I got from the externship into my
Yeah.
classroom is something so invaluable that I think that more teachers need to experience.
That's awesome. That's incredible.
Definitely.
And Angel, I'm excited for you because you start your externship tomorrow. So I cannot wait.
Yes.
Maybe we'll do a part two next summer and we'll see what comes
I
out of
hope
that
so.
one.
I'm sure something
I,
will.
I already have ideas.
Oh, good, 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 good.
Excited.
Well, great. I just, before we close, I just want to kind of do a fast recap. That was incredible. There's so much that we got to hear today. A teacher spent 30 hours learning from industry professionals in a local architecture firm. That experience sparked an idea. Two educators worked together to transform that idea into a meaningful project. Students became architects, designers, problem solvers, communicators, and civic leaders. Industry professionals volunteered their time. Community members participated. This is exactly what career connected learning looks like. But unfortunately, programs like IDRA's Educator Externship Program are at risk because with recent federal funding losses, this has created a significant challenge for us to sustain and expand these opportunities for educators and teachers. So without funding, fewer teachers would have access to paid externship experiences, and then fewer students will have these types of opportunities to engage with professionals and solve authentic community problems. So if anybody is out there that would be able to invest to help keep this type of externship program going to connect classrooms to careers, strengthen educators' learning, and create transformative experiences for students, we invite you to help us continue to do this work. To learn more about supporting IDRA's externship program, visit idra.org or contact our team directly. And thank you again, Taylor and Angel, for sharing your story and spending some time out of your summer with us. We really appreciate all the incredible work you're doing with your students. And thank you, listeners, for joining us. Until next time, we'll talk to you later. Thank you so much.